Assalamu alaikum, Chingalamigra, and welcome to another episode of the CCA Corner. Hey, we appreciate y'all listening out on your route and at your second job selling plasma or selling catalytic converters. Try and make ends meet as a step 2 carrier. Yeah, we got an episode today. We're talking about the JSOVB. Before we get to that, and I introduce my co-hosts and stuff, I was asked to do some shout outs. Like Cody Hansen and all of our very cold letter carriers right now up north. Winter has just hit Texas and I am dying, and it was only 45 degrees today. So all y'all surviving the cold, God love you. Good luck, Godspeed. So we got an episode on a JSOV. That's a joint statement. I'm joined by JT or Townie.
Yo, what up?
We got Townie, and then we have we're joined by our producer, the wizard of the ones and twos, Cole Billups.
I got roped into this one.
Every time he try to get out, we pull him back in. And then we have our go-to CCA steward. You might remember them.
Whoa, Badmouth. No longer is it a CCA, right, Leo?
Oh, shit.
That's right. I'm a PTF now.
Yeah, buddy. Well, started as a CCA steward and now is a career PTF making that bank. Yeah, we're joined by Leo, who you might remember from I think it was our second mailbag episode back in the day. Leo's here to tell us all about the JSOV, the Joint Statement on Violence and Behavior in the Workplace. So let me just hit the agenda real quick, and we'll get into it. So we're going to be talking about the Joint Statement on Violence and Behavior in the Workplace and its history, right? What it is, how it works in our offices, what is an action, and this is basically to like help you survive a hostile work environment and grieve a hostile work environment, because we all know that CCAs are just thrown to the wolves and treated like absolute garbage, and we want to know how to fight back against that, right? So we're gonna have some advice for CCAs and PTFs, like how to talk to your steward and how to talk to your branch president and how to like stand up for yourself and help the union stand up for you. And we're also going to be talking about advice for like regulars or senior CCAs and PTFs. If you've been a CCA for a year, you know you are already kind of in a position of leadership, because all the new jacks coming in behind you are looking to you because they're like, this is intense. And you can be like, okay, you know, you're helping them. We're all trauma bonded as CCAs together. You guys are taking care of each other. So, and then we're going to hit some of the listener comments and questions. I'm going to do the Solidarity Soapbox, and then we're going to kind of wrap it all up and close, right? Does that sound good to you guys?
Good to me.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Cole?
I was muted. Yeah, sounds great to me.
Okay, so first, why don't we start off with the history of the JSOV? Like, so if listeners, if you remember our mental health episode, where Cole and Mal and I all got like super vulnerable about shit and talked about how much of a meat grinder the post office is and how hard that can be on your mental health. We touched on the JSOV a little bit. This is the thing that kind of protects us from this shitty work environment, right? So we got to go into a little bit of history of it first, so you kind of know what it is, right? So like it's, you know, like the term "going postal," like there's a reason that happened. And Leo's gonna tell us a little bit about that. So Leo, so why have people gone postal in the past?
The Badmouth, I just want to start by saying, first off, I have been a steward for just about a year now. Just won our steward election again earlier this month, but I am by no means an expert in this. Okay. So I'm going to do my best to give broad strokes. Explain where I'm coming from with my experience dealing with hostile work environments and the JSOV. And at the end, I'm definitely going to touch on some other resources that you can dive into if you really want to start getting deep into this. But But let's get started at least a bit on the history. So,
oh yeah. And I'm sorry, I didn't give you enough time. I didn't give you enough room to do that intro. These guys bought me this very nice mic and headphones, and I just immediately went into like radio disc jockey mode. So that's my fault.
my regular Casey Kasem, baby.
Yeah.
So
JSOVB top 40.
It should come as no surprise then, guys. Management has been abusive to people at the post office for a very long time. Talk to any persons who have been at your office for any period of years, you'll hear the same stories over and over again. If any of you have read The Post Office by Bukowski, for its good parts and its bad parts, you read the same sort of stuff that we deal with on a daily basis. Abusive supervisors who don't know how to talk to people, who treat you like garbage, who seem to treat you only as a number, who don't value you as a human being, and basically treat you like shit and grind you into the dirt and expect you to feel happy about it. So when you have a toxic work environment like that that's endemic to an entire system, things start to snap and things start to break, things start to crumble and fall apart. And what happened in the post office is that we kind of got this phrase that came through the cultural zeitgeist in the early 90s. This was the term going postal. And where did that even come from? So from what I can tell from reading online, the earliest use was in December of 1993 in the American newspaper, the St. Petersburg Times, which I think is out of Florida. And the quote from that article says this: "The symposium was sponsored by the U.S. Postal Service, which has seen so many outbursts that in some circles excessive stress is known as, quote unquote, going postal. 35 people have been killed in 11 post office shootings since 1983. The USPS does not approve of the term going postal and has made attempts to stop people from using the saying. Some postal workers, however, feel that it has earned its place." Now, in addition to that article, in December of 1993, the Los Angeles Times said, "Unlike the more deadly mass shootings around the nation, which have lent a new term to the language, referring to shooting up the office as, quote unquote, going postal." So because of these 11 different shootings over the entire 80s, eventually 2 shootings happened the same day on May 6, 1993. And in 1993, the United States Postal Service created 85 workplace environment analysts in its 85 postal districts. But those positions were created to help with violence prevention and workplace improvement. But guess what, guys? In February 2009, the United States Postal Service unilaterally eliminated these positions as part of its downsizing efforts to save money.
Jesus Christ! So, hold on,
right.
Leo. Just to clarify, so this is like the 80s and the 90s. This isn't because like I was around when Columbine first happened. This isn't like now today we kind of have mass shootings almost fucking every day. This was before that was a thing, right? This is a completely different animal, like a post office specific thing, right? Like this is almost comes before all that.
Yeah, it absolutely becomes before all of that. And that's the shocking and sad part. But needless to say, though, the continued pattern of violence at post offices across the country and then the adoption of this term, right, eventually led to the USPS and the NALC getting together and sitting down and putting together this document. And this document is called the Joint Statement on Violence and Behavior in the Workplace. That happened in 1992. And that's what we're talking about today. And that addresses violence and behavior in the workplace. I'm going to hand this over now to JD for a bit. He's going to tell you a bit about what the joint statement itself says.
So, yes, the post office and the NALC and other unions as well, the mail handler union, as well as the postal police, the supervisor committee, they all came together and they worked and they banged out this joint statement on violence and behavior in the workplace. a la JSOV. And this came after the Royal Oaks mass shooting. So we all grieve for the Royal Oaks victims, and we sympathize with their families, as we have grieved and sympathized all too often before in similar horrifying circumstances. But grief and sympathy are not enough. Neither are ritualistic expressions of grave concern or the initiation of investigations, studies, or research projects. The United States Postal Service as an institution, and all of us who serve that institution, must firmly and unequivocally commit to do everything within our power to prevent further incidents of work-related violence. This is a time for a candid appraisal of our flaws, and not a time for scapegoating, finger-pointing, or procrastination. It is a time for reaffirming the basic right of all employees to a safe and humane working environment.
Can you read that last sentence one more time for me?
Oh yeah, let's emphasize that. It is a time for reaffirming the basic right of all employees to a safe and humane working environment. It is also the time to take action, to show that we mean what we say. We openly acknowledge that in some places or units there is an unacceptable level of stress in the workplace, that there is no excuse for and will be no tolerance of violence or any threats of violence by anyone at any level of the Postal Service, and that there is no excuse for and will be no tolerance of harassment, intimidation, threats, or bullying by anyone. We also affirm that every employee at every level of the Postal Service should be treated at all times with dignity, respect, and fairness. The need for the USPS to serve the public efficiently and productively, and the need for all employees to be committed to giving a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. That's where the term fair day's work for a fair day's pay comes from. Does not justify actions that are abusive or intolerant. Making the numbers, I repeat, making the numbers is not an excuse for the abuse of anyone. Those who do not treat others with dignity and respect will not be rewarded or promoted. Those whose unacceptable behavior continues will be removed from their positions. We obviously cannot ensure that, however seriously intentioned our wards may be, they will not be treated with winks and nods or skepticism by some of our over 700,000 employees. But let there be no mistake that we mean what we say, and we will enforce our commitment to a workplace where dignity, respect, and fairness are basic human rights, and where those who do not respect those rights are not tolerated. Our intention is to make the workroom floor a safer, more harmonious, as well as a more productive workplace. We pledge our efforts to those objectives. And it's signed by multiple unions, including the NALC.
Hey, JT, Badmouth, question for you guys. Does that sound like your workplace? That doesn't sound like my workplace.
No. That sounds like a commitment from the post office to not bully and harass CCAs. And I don't know. I know some people got a unicorn manager, but I ain't seen one.
Speaking of managers, JT, is there anything in any postal manuals or documents specifically directed at supervision that talk about who's supposed to set the standard for the floor?
Yes. M39 115.4. Maintain mutual respect atmosphere.
And
The
what's
national
the M39 again?
What?
What's the M39?
The M39 is the supervisor handbook.
Okay, so like we have the M41 that tells us what our jobs are, and the M39 tells supervisors what they're supposed to do. Am I understanding that right?
For certain, yes. So what you're saying is, in essence, is it's under their responsibility as the supervising party.
Right.
And under that, in that section, 115.4, maintain mutual respect atmosphere. The national agreement sets out the basic rules and rights governing management and employees in their dealings with each other, but it is the frontline manager who controls management's attempt to maintain an atmosphere between employer and employee, which assures mutual respect for each other's rights and responsibilities.
And what else is there in terms of postal manuals, guidelines, and handbooks that talk about workplace conduct with respect to violent and or threatening behavior?
Yeah, we got some great language in the ELM. I think it's 665.24. If you're a nerd about those things, it's violent and or threatening behavior. The Postal Service is committed to the principle that all employees have a basic right to a safe and humane working environment. In order to ensure this right, it is the unequivocal policy of the Postal Service that there must be no tolerance of violence or threats of violence by anyone at any level of the Postal Service. Similarly, there must be no tolerance of harassment, intimidation, threats, or bullying by anyone at any level. Violation of this policy may result in disciplinary action, including removal from the Postal Service.
Hey, I want to jump in real quick right here before we move on.
Hell yeah.
So, as we mentioned on the last episode, I've been doing Academy for like 6 months now, give or take. And I've been the last 3 weeks straight there. And I feel like I've really kind of gotten into my own style with that. And coming with that has been doing some new modules that I haven't done before, one of which is the first module.
Wait, they updated the modules?
No.
Oh. Never mind. I got really excited for a second, and well.
No, they're the same from like 2015. They're old. We have to make many modifications to go over the new stuff. But the first one is we go over the joint statement, right? We do that very early in the morning. And the way that I do this, and we kind of do in class, is it's printed in their books that they're following along with us with. And I say, everybody take a few minutes and just read that to yourself. And the room is dead silent. I mean, silent for a minute and a half, 2 minutes, right? However long it takes to read that. And then we follow it up with a news article or a Wikipedia page. It's something, whatever somebody has put in the room at some point over the years. We followed up with that, talking about the shooting that kind of led to the term going postal. It's a guy, I can't remember his name now. Honestly, he killed people, so he doesn't really matter. He killed 3 people and injured several more. And then that's kind of accredited to the term going postal was formed shortly after. The energy in that room gets sucked out.
Yeah.
It is heavy.
Yeah, I remember that when I was in my fucking cadet training too. Like everyone in the room was like, the shit did we just get ourselves into?
It's one of those things you grew up hearing it on in pop culture so much. Well, let me rephrase. For those of us who are Morris and my age, JT, I don't know how old you are. Forgive me.
Old
We grew
enough.
up hearing that, people making jokes about it all the time. So then to read the joint statement in training and then see what you just talked about, Cole, in a slide, it made me feel like a total asshole for ever thinking that was a funny term to use.
Yeah, and so what I've started doing when I do the module, and even when somebody else does it, if I'm teaching with them, because there's always two of us that teach, I will follow it up by those of you that from Mid-Arbitration listeners remember the Memphis miniseries. I say, hey, look, that was in the 90s, but guess what? Just a few years ago, a CCA walked into the office, walked up to a supervisor, shot them in the head, killed them, went to the postmaster's office, didn't find the postmaster, sat in the postmaster's chair, killed themselves. And it is quiet. And I let it be quiet for a good 15 seconds. And then I make some really stupid joke and it's like, wow, hey, let's move on from that because that's really heavy, just to bring the energy back up. But I let it sit for what I think is long enough.
Yeah, and I don't want us to be coming across as flippant in dealing with this topic, but it is a very heavy topic. So please forgive us for trying to bring a little bit of levity to kind of bring that energy back up, Cole, like you do that as well. To the listeners out there, we're not making light of this situation whatsoever. It is a very serious situation, but we don't want to have the worst Debbie Downer of an episode that you're depressed to listen to either.
Yeah, and that's why this is such an important thing. I think this is an episode that we've kind of put off a little bit, similar to how we put off the mental health episode, because this is super heavy, like this, and we wanted to lead this episode talking about how heavy this shit is. Because you are all going to be dealing with this shit as CCAs. Fuck, if you're a regular, you deal with this shit too. Like, we got listeners who are regulars who are listening to this shit. Like, they deal with this shit too. It's a big fucking thing. So we want to lead with the heavy shit so we can start getting into like more tips and tricks for like how we survive this shit and how we survive this shit with our dignity, our humanity, and our joyful spirit intact, right? And how we can support each other. So with keeping now that we've gotten the heavy shit done, not done because we're still going to be talking about heavy shit. Sorry, guys. I know it's but we want to get into some of the tips and tricks. Like, Leo, what does all of that language, all that heavy language, and all that heavy history, what does that mean for us to help protect us?
So it's actually funny that this episode is being timed when it is, because yesterday we had a visit from our local safety team. And around the case of the route that I was on, I have taped to the case the multiple JSOV settlements that we have for our station. There have been recent stand-up talks in our station as directed by our postmaster, specifically addressing the JSOV. But our union safety head, upon seeing all of that, came up to me and said, "You know what, Leo? It's just a piece of paper." And goddamn, isn't she right? Because much like everything else, much like the contract, much like the rules that management's supposed to follow, much like the M39, much like the ELM, management doesn't care what it says. And they will do whatever they want. The perfect example for that actually has to do with this JSOV. Because the first JSOV, which JT read, was dated February 14th, 1992. And then, surprise, surprise, immediately after that, the United States Postal Service did a 180 and tried to argue that the JSOV wasn't applicable towards management at all, wasn't enforceable under the contract. And that went to arbitration. So ultimately, an arbitrator, his name's Carlton Snow, and if you're one of the nerds like I am that looked this stuff up, found that the joint statement on violence in the workplace in the national case C-15697 constituted the contractually enforceable part of the agreement between the parties to the agreement. In our case, that's the NALC and the United States Postal Service. And as a result, we, members of the union, have access to the grievance arbitration procedure to resolve any disputes that arise under it. And so we got a second joint statement on violence and behavior in the workplace. And that says this: in our joint statement of February, we affirmed our belief that dignity, respect, and fairness are basic human rights. And we pledged our efforts toward a safer, more harmonious, as well as a more productive workplace. Since then, we have continued to meet regularly and engage in an active dialogue on the issues addressed in that statement. We believe that effective communication and a cooperative spirit are the starting point for the resolution of the problems in our workplace. So far, so good. It is essential to our efforts that the same discussions and cooperative efforts take place among representatives of management, postal unions, and management organizations at the region, division, and MSC levels, as well as the national level. To the extent that the representatives at those levels have not yet established an ongoing dialogue on these issues, we ask that you do so without further delay. The joint groups should focus on ways to foster safe, harmonious, and productive workplaces. And when a particular problem site is identified, the representatives should work together to eliminate the underlying problems. In our discussions at the national level on problem sites, we concluded that problems are best addressed and resolved at the lowest possible level. Accordingly, if a problem site comes to our attention at the national level, we will refer it to the appropriate regional joint group for attention. An intervention will not be initiated at this level unless the regional or local parties are unable to resolve the problems at the site. This problem-solving approach is not intended as a substitute for existing dispute resolution processes, but as an informal, cooperative approach to significant workplace relationship problems wherever they occur. We can and must work together to resolve the factors contributing to disputes in our workplace, and we expect our counterparts at all levels of the organization to work towards that end. Signed, bunch of people, including Vincent Sombrato, at that point, president of the National Association of Letter Carriers. So that fixed everything, right, guys?
Yeah. So everything was copacetic after that. I never even knew. I never even knew there was a second joint statement. So hearing that, that's fucking crazy. Everything's fine, right? All the CCAs have it great, right, Leo?
I mean, yeah, everything's all unicorn shitting rainbows as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I think I think we got a little more digging to do to figure that out. And we're going to come up with, we're going to come to a conclusion on that, right? After these ads.
Editor's note here. The following segment you're about to hear is from Debbie Dixon, formerly RAA in Region 2. She will introduce herself as such. This was recorded prior to her being let go from that position. So to be upfront with you, just to be upfront, that was all recorded prior to all of that. So she's not lying on her resume, so to speak. But here's that.
Hi, my name's Debbie Dixon. I'm running for Region 2 NBA on the CLC ticket. Currently, I'm an RAA for Region 2. Been an RAA for over 10 and a half years. Have 38 years with the United States Postal Service. And one of the things I do love to teach, so thanks for the opportunity for me to do this. I wanted to touch on the M41 handbook, Section 131, reporting requirements. We have daily reporting requirements as letter carriers. We have 7 daily reporting requirements. The main topic that I really want to touch on is the very first one. And that very first one It says, it is your responsibility to verbally inform management when you are of the opinion that you will be unable to case all mail distributed to the route. So with that being said, you are the one to inform management. They have morphed this into management getting commitments from you. However, if you look at the wording, because words matter, it's your opinion of what your ability will be for the day. So a commitment, people who know me, I don't like that word at all. It's our opinion. It's an estimate. There is no commitment that a city letter carrier has. It then goes on to say that you will inform them of your opinion when you're unable to case all the mail distributed to your route, perform other required duties, and leave on schedule, or when you will be unable to complete delivery of all mail. On schedule, another topic, another day. That's on your 1564As of what the route is normally, as far as time-wise, the normal volume and so forth. So I just wanted to put a bug in everybody's ear that management for quite some time has done a very good job of brainwashing us in the sense of DOIS. DOIS means this is what you need to do for the day, and that is absolutely wrong. Because if you really want to look at things, DOIS is also an estimate. It's an estimate of the information that management puts into a computer system. And we always say in Region 2, garbage in, garbage out. If they put garbage into a computer system, they're going to get garbage out. So it's your opinion, your estimate, and your opinion matters. So don't give it up. There's no other handbook or manual rule that will include your opinion. So don't let that go by the wayside. So to be a professional carrier, you need to know your abilities. You need to know about volume, thin mail, thick mail, full coverages, spurs. You need to estimate that. You need to figure that out. I just want to give a couple references as to where you can find information about this to push back on management. You will not be giving a commitment, you'll be giving an estimate. It's on the PS Form 3996 itself, the carrier auxiliary control. It asks for your estimate. It does not ask for your commitment. It uses that word estimate. And then we've also got the JCAM, page 4126. It's section 413G, and that talks about filling out the 3996, filling out a 1571. And that's part of your 7 daily requirements also from the M41 handbook. And then we also have memos. So I'll just name those memos so you guys can look it up. Memo 01444. And we also have memo 01664 and memo 1769. These all talk about DOIS, but they all go back and refer to our reporting daily requirements. So there's two arbitrations. Just want to mention those two. Very, very good language on the subject. It's C18612 by arbitrator McGowan. And the other one I like is C32453, arbitrator August. So I hope that helps everybody out. I know it's real quick, could go in more in depth, but we want to keep it short. Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
All right, so JT, Morris, let's talk about the joint statement and the M39, section 115.4, and the ELM, and what that should mean for our, try that again. What that should mean for our work environment every day. So, first off, it shouldn't be hostile. I mean, that seems obvious, right? You shouldn't be afraid to come to work and get screamed at by a supervisor or a manager or to be belittled, or to be told you're the slowest or the worst. You should be happy and excited to come to work. Because remember, under the M39, the manager's handbook on how to do their job, it is the frontline manager's responsibility to set the respectful tone for the office. Is your office like that, Morris?
We got a new manager, and I thought it was a hidden camera show. Yeah, I thought it was a hidden camera show because she's half reasonable. She's only been there for 2 weeks. We'll see how it pans out. But when I was a CCA, I would come in, and it was an argument every morning. It was like it was abysmal and confrontational every day. And like, I can handle that shit, but like, I shouldn't have had to, even though I could. Like, there's too many people who are bullied by someone in a TJ Maxx clip-on tie who watches hustle videos on TikTok all day and lies on telecoms while we're out there doing the actual fucking work. Sorry.
Some of us wear clip-on ties while doing the work. Excuse me, bad mouth.
Okay, yeah. I mean, like, I guess if a dog tries to snatch a tie, that's probably safer.
JT, how about your office?
So our office is kind of weird because we still have like our cases set up like COVID cases. So it's just like,
for those of us who weren't around during COVID, which is probably most of the audience, what do you mean by that?
So normally you have it in like a giant U shape. Ours is kind of in a giant U shape, but it's like zigzagged and 6 feet apart. So like, we have camaraderie when we check our trucks and stuff like that. And you go in, you grab your stuff. We hardly ever talk to our supervisor unless they come around to give you overtime, which is kind of phenomenal. I'm not gonna lie. I can't complain about where I'm at. I'll be honest.
JT and I have talked about this a lot. JT's got a unicorn office.
18 transfer requests right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Like,
Yeah, which office is it? So our CCA is concerned. No, look at transfer.
I mean,
there.
Compared to like, I came from another office where there were some problem managers that have said things and called people names and deliberately made comments toward minority groups and things. So I'm very happy where I'm at, where we just kind of do our thing and get the hell in and get the hell out. So
I'm gonna just tackle you and give you the biggest noogie. I'm so mad at you right now. When I see you at National Convention, I'm just gonna tackle you.
I'm just saying.
My manager told me that they regretted not getting rid of me in my 90 and had told me on 3 separate occasions, my goal is your termination. Like, wow. That's
unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Like that to me that causes a hostile work environment. Right. Instead of doing things, and this is the issue too with discipline. Discipline shouldn't be punitive, but corrective. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like in that case, that's not even discipline. That's just straight up being punitive. Right. That's ridiculous.
So many of our CCAs face that every day, and that's one of the things. That's why this is super important. I think Leo, where are we at on this outline? I started talking shit. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. We're at B1. 3B1.
So like JT, you're in that unicorn office. We're gonna have a whole bunch of CCAs trying to transfer to your station. It's cold as balls there, so that's kind of the trade-off. But the
it's not easy.
You can always put clothes on. You can always put more clothes on. So I don't feel so bad about that. Morris, in the middle of summer, you can only get so naked, dude. So I would rather JT than you.
Yeah, it's nice here in January right now, but it's Satan's armpit in Texas for 9 months out of the year. But in any case, we talked about some of the examples. I mentioned a dickhead manager telling me that my termination was their goal. What are some other examples of workplace harassment that can rise to a JSOV issue?
Right. So let's just start with the idea of a hostile work environment, right? So not everything initially will rise to the level of a joint statement on violence and behavior in the workplace grievance. But things that make your workplace feel bad for you, like it feels like it's a hostile place for you to be, multiple grievances like that will start to set the foundation for joint statement on violence grievances. Or if a supervisor puts a hand on you, that's a straight up JSOV right there. I mean, I'll give you some examples of things that have happened to me. Identities have been redacted to protect the guilty. So, one day on an Amazon Sunday, my truck broke down. I sent messages on rims for hours. Nobody got back to me. I finally got in touch with another CCA who was returning to the station. The PM supervisor brought me out a truck that I could not drive because the turn signals and hazards did not function. And as you know, everyone, we must not drive trucks that are unsafe. And they instructed me to drive it. It's illegal in my state to drive without functioning turn signals, so I said no. Supervisor got mad, drove off, and when I finally got back after being towed, this supervisor was so furious that they came at me physically, screamed at me, ripped my arrow keys and truck keys out of my clenched hands, and then ripped my scanner out of my hands while they were gripping my wrists, causing me a ton of pain as they twisted them. They then started shouting at me as I was on the phone with my union rep, my formal A. Still waiting for that grievance to be resolved.
We actually had an incident like that at one of my other offices, and they had to remove a higher level supervisor for that situation. So I hope that ended up happening in your situation.
Unfortunately, I don't think it did. I think they just got one bad apple training, and then that was the end of it for them. Because unfortunately, I did not have a witness to the event. And we'll get into that in a little bit.
Oh, fortunately, we had multiple witnesses because this was on a regular scheduled day. And that's one of the big issues with Amazon Sunday.
Yes. Amazon Sunday, guys, for the CCAs out there, please make sure you have your steward's number and you let them know if anything wacky happens on Amazon Sunday, because you are the most vulnerable carriers. And Sundays have the least union protection for folks because the halls are empty that day and regulars don't deliver Amazon. So please stay on top of issues and please get in touch with your stewards if wacky things are happening on Amazon Sundays. So let's talk about some other things that have happened to me. We had a manager come in to our office, and in their first day or two of stand-ups, they came in all guns blazing and said to us, "Y'all are nasty. I'm going to follow y'all into the bathroom. I'm going to check to see if y'all are cleaning up." Well, that's a hostile work environment. That's gross. That's demeaning. And that's the type of behavior that should not be allowed. How about this? I had a supervisor who sent me a text message one day while I was out delivering on a route that I had not moved in 30 minutes, that I hadn't been working for the past 2 hours, and I was delivering parcels. The supervisor just didn't see the off-route parcel scans that I had been assigned by somebody else. And when I got back to the station, we got into a tiff, which ended with this supervisor saying to me, "If I were your mother, I would suicide myself." That's a JSOV.
Clear cut. My God.
That's sitting at step B right now. I think it got impassed.
That's crazy. We actually had a guy berate another carrier and say, he called another carrier and said, "This guy's been sitting at this address for like 30 minutes. And the carrier turned around and said, "He might be taking his lunch break."
Yeah. I had a CCA today. It just so happened to be my day off, but this is a brand new CCA, and I saw her at the relay box around the corner from my house. They were questioned for why they sat for 24 minutes yesterday. I'm like, isn't that a lunch break? Things like that, that's a hostile work environment claim, right? You're allowed to take your breaks. You're allowed to take your lunch when management is pushing you to go faster, saying, you're not fast enough. I gave you 30 minutes of mail. It took you 2 hours. What took so long? You're so slow. You're so terrible. That's a hostile work environment that can eventually rise to a JSOV. I had a supervisor, a 204B, scream out in the middle of the floor, you are the slowest and worst carrier in the station, to me regarding my performance in front of my coworkers. That was grieved. And that got a JSOV settlement that is currently posted at the case. And let me put it this way, guys. I'll admit, I am not an angel. I wish that I could, what was it that you guys talked about in the mental health episode, I think? Gray rock everybody. I wish I could gray rock everybody. In a perfect world, that's what I would do. And I'll explain that later. But I can be a little volcanic in my temper. Don't be like me. Stay calm. Because if you react to a supervisor who is intentionally trying to prod you into a reaction, you're just playing into their hands. Don't be like me. Learn from my mistakes. I also had a supervisor say to me once when I was talking about a hypothetical situation when I had hurt my knee and I was wearing a knee brace, well, maybe you're not made out for this job. That is a potential hostile work environment JSOV circumstance as well. And these claims, these incidents don't happen in a vacuum. And if they're happening to you, they're probably happening to your coworkers too. But if you guys don't stick together and talk to each other, and let each other know what's going on, and let your steward know what's going on, nothing ever is going to happen about it. You guys are each like fingers, right? And when you make a fist, you're strong. And that's how you got to think when you are addressing abusive supervisors in the workplace. Anyone else have anything to add on that point?
I mean, I agree. That's part of it and if you feel like you are fingers and your office is like fingers, then make sure that you go out and you become the palm that connects all the fingers. You know, every office needs a glue guy. I try to be that as much as I can because I turn around and I'll tell people, man, I love this guy. That's my guy. Or that's my girl. You know, I always say that. And I always ask people, what's the plan for the weekend and stuff like that. And that's how you start to bring people into that palm. And then, you know, then you can find out what kind of craziness is happening to other carriers. Because it doesn't always necessarily happen, you know, in the scope of, you know, your vision, like what happened to Leo on that Amazon Sunday with the witnesses. You know, you can always have each other's back. But go ahead, Morris. I'm sorry. I'm going off on a solidarity soapbox. I'm stealing
you're good. I was just cracking up laughing while I was on mute about the palm analogy because it worked. But so like some of the things Leo was talking about, like Amazon Sunday is the wild fucking West, and I wish our union was better about putting representation out there. Like JT, part of the reason we asked you on the CCA Corner was you were out trying to like tell CCAs their rights on Amazon Sunday. The fact that Leo was a steward as a CCA meant that there was union presence at that Amazon Sunday.
Oh yeah, they try to send me home as many times as possible too for reminding carriers that there's no such thing as a street standard for delivery. I think I got sent home at least once, if not twice. Threatened to have the police called on me, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And here's the thing. This is what I tell every CCA who comes through my office. If you don't want to be scheduled for Amazon Sundays, learn some of your rights and start teaching all the other CCAs at Amazon Sundays what your rights are. and do it loudly so management knows you're educating the other CCAs. You'll miraculously stop getting scheduled on Amazon Sundays because they don't want an educated CCA there.
Well, actually, can I say something about the CCA Sunday that I found out that's going on in our branch? So the whole not scheduling stuff. So they were having people work like crazy hours on Sundays. Like when I started, the CCA Sunday was like 6 hours. They were having people work like 10s and close to 12s on Sundays. That they started to do like a buddy system where everyone would start to check up on each other. You would go out with a buddy. That way no one got stuck out there for 10 hours while someone else had a 6-hour day. And I feel like that also started to build some camaraderie between those CCAs in the other installation, because like my office is like outside the installation, but that other installation, they started doing a buddy system to take care of one another, and that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and I've talked about this when talking with Richie Ray. I've talked about this with Corey, like when I talked to him when the CCA Corner didn't even exist. Like CCAs, we all look out for each other. We're all trauma bonded, right? The union could learn so much from the CCAs who take care of each other on something like Amazon Sunday. But yeah, let's because it's I know we're all tired. Let's hit that outline.
Hold on. Speaking of Richard Ray, let me take a sip of my coffee.
Oh hell yeah! You're drinking coffee this late at night, you fucking lunatic. No,
I hope that's the decaf.
Oh, you got decaf? Okay, yeah.
Hell no. Oh hell no.
Oh hell no! No, death before decaf. Okay, yeah. Shout out to Richie Ray and the
his coffee.
The JSOV. We've talked about that. We've talked about like different examples of shit. Basically, if you walk into work and the hardest part of your day is talking to fucking management, you have a hostile work environment. We get chased by dogs. We're walking out in the heat. We're walking out in the snow. We got to deal with traffic. We got to deal with crazy ass drivers. We got to deal with all this shit. If the worst part of your day is dealing with management, you probably got a JSOV case, right? So what does the JSOV in action look like? There's like Corey's got some great episodes. Like I know Alan Gigax has some great episodes. I think Next Gen covered it too. There's all this different information for like stewards and how to file these grievances. But like this is a CCA Corner, so we want to tell you like how can you be the best grievant for your steward? What questions do you need to ask? What things do you need to tell your steward so your steward is equipped to fucking kick some ass for you? Right?
Yeah. So,
Leo,
let's talk about what advice that I can give to CCAs and new PTFs in being a good grievant that makes our jobs as stewards easier, and how to handle an abusive supervisor in your day-to-day, right? So rule number 1 is stay calm. Your supervisor may be trying to get a rise out of you. Your supervisors might be trying to bait you into a reaction. They are doing this so they have an excuse to discipline you and or justify their shitty behavior, right? Because if they're screaming at you or if they're screaming at a clerk in the customer service window while you're trying to handle an PDI and you can't hear the person next to you, well, that's a circumstance that creates a hostile work environment for me as a steward trying to do my job, for the customers who are hearing the manager yelling, and for the clerks who are getting yelled at by the manager. But if you yell at that manager, all that's going to happen is they're going to put you out of work. They're going to say, oh, you're violating the JSOV. I'm putting you out on emergency placement. And if you're a brand new CCA, emergency placement, you might as well be fired if you haven't gotten past your 90 days or 120 calendar days. And for those of you who don't know, emergency placement is governed by 16.7 of our contract, Article 16.7, that is. And that means you're thrown out of work without pay. And you come back to work once your grievance gets resolved, maybe. And you have to sit at home and just wait for that to happen. So I've had that happen to me a couple times now. Has management followed the rules of emergency placement? No, but that's immaterial because I've been out of work previously for trying to stand up for people as a steward. Don't do what I did, because if they do it to a steward, they'll do it to you as a CCA. You'll probably get fired, like I said, unless you're outside of your 90-120. Or if you're a new PTF, same thing. Gray rock, stay calm. Rule number 2, after stay calm, obey now and grieve later. This is the rule for every stupid thing that management decides to tell us, whether it's justified or not. We're allowed to refuse if it's immoral, unethical, illegal, or unsafe. Other than that, save yourself from further discipline. Step 1, stay calm, gray rock 'em. Step 2, obey now and grieve later. So let's talk about grieving. How can grieving work? And how can you make the grievance process and tee up your grievance for your steward in the way that's going to be most helpful to them and is going to be the most persuasive if it has to go down the line? And eventually, maybe even to arbitration where you would have to testify about your manager's behavior. So first off, anytime that you feel unsafe in the workplace, you feel that you are being abused, you should be documenting it, and your steward should be grieving every single instance of any violation of the JSOV or of the hostile workplace provisions of the ELM and the M39. Your job as the grievant, as the CCA who's being abused, is to document, document, document. Let's talk about what that means. First, let's remember, guys, supervisors are not your friends. That supervisor, that 204B, that was your best buddy last week, that you loved to death, who then got promoted to 204B, they're not your friend anymore. You don't talk to them anymore like you're their friend. You don't text them anymore because they're now your boss. And their job is to make their bosses happy. And it's not to be your friend. Once they go over to the dark side, they're lost. My favorite carrier in OJI in my office is now a 204B. I thought they were wonderful as an OJI. And when they announced they were going for 204B, I joked to them, hey, don't get brainwashed. Well, guess what happened? And guess who I have a JSOV settlement against? And guess who has a case going to Step B against the same person because of how they act now as a supervisor? The next thing you can do, help document every problem. Only use RIMs to communicate with the supervisors. If you are out of your probationary period, do not use your personal cell phone for any reason to talk to any supervisor or any manager or any 204B while you are at work. Block them. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb during the workday. Management uses phones, your personal phone that they don't pay for, to contact you so they have no accountability for what they're saying to you. Because the RIMS messaging system on our scanners, those are saved and those are readily viewable to many people. And sometimes, I would argue, often, supervisors and managers don't want their bosses seeing what they're sending out. And they don't want proof that's accessible to the union in a request for information of the shenanigans and shady things they are trying to pull. So, Anytime you receive a message on your scanner, once you've blocked your supervisor, remember, it's under option B for messages. Once you've typed up your message, take a picture of it with your cell phone so you make sure you have a forever copy of that to give to your steward if you need it. Then, as you're set to send it, change the number of days that you save it from 5 to 15. Why? Because that's how long the RIMS message will stay in the system. And sometimes 5 days isn't enough for us to get the information that we need from management. Sometimes 15 days isn't enough because management will wait a month to try to discipline you, right? But we can do our best. So set it to 15 days and take a picture. And that way you've double protected yourself because everyone in management can now see the RIMS message you sent and you have your own personal copy to give to your steward. Document not just every problem, but every single instance. Whether that's a notebook, whether that's the note apps in your phone, whether it's other tools that you might come up with for yourself, make sure you locate or notate the date, time, and location contemporaneously if you can, because that makes a huge difference. Now let's talk about statements, because writing statements, that's something that's essential to a hostile work environment or JSOV grievance.
So if I'm writing a statement, should I do that like as soon as possible, or should I take a moment and think about it, or when should I write my statement? So
my recommendation is to do it immediately. And if not immediately, as soon as possible. Hell, if you have to immediately take a bathroom break or a comfort stop after something happens to make yourself this note, that's when I would recommend you do it. The problem is this: memory fades with time. If you make a contemporaneous statement, you are putting yourself in the best position to put every single detail as to what was said, done, and how it made you feel, versus a statement you write a day, a week, 2 weeks later. I mean, for those of us who have had PDIs, hey, you were out on Route 23 on December 29th, and you were given parcel number 3463 were the ending numbers. Do you remember scanning that? Of course not, because number one, it was a month ago, and number two, how many parcels do I have a day? A couple hundred? And management will expect you somehow to remember what happened in that specific parcel that day, right? But of course we don't remember that. Similarly, if you're asked to recall something that happens on a specific day with an interaction with the manager a month ago, are you necessarily going to remember everything that is said and done with specificity? Or are things going to get a little fuzzy? And instead of exact quotes, are you going to paint things in broad strokes and kind of remember how you feel rather than what was really said? I mean, in the circumstance where the supervisor said, if I were your mother, I would suicide myself, I literally typed that into my phone as the supervisor said it to me on the workroom floor in front of them. So I would not lose it. I took a screenshot and I immediately sent it to my union rep, the person above me at Formal A, because I recognized immediately how important that was. So like I said...
So you're saying go stronger with quotes more than paraphrasing?
Direct quotes, verbatim, that's the best way to do it from my perspective, right? The more details you have, the better, because the aim of your statement ultimately is to let your steward know, and frankly, anybody in the future who's going to see your case file. That could mean not just your steward, that could mean the supervisor or manager who deals with the informal A, which is the initial meeting between your steward and station management. That could be at the formal A, which is the next step above that. That could be at step B, which is the next step above that. That could be at some other pre-arbitration session that happens before the ultimate arbitration, where you're sitting as a witness in front of an arbitrator who's acting like the judge, right? And that could be a year, 2, 3 years from the date of when the event actually happened. And are you necessarily going to remember everything that was said and done that one day? JT, what happened to you June 3rd of 2022? Do you remember?
Probably at the post office.
Do you remember anything else about that day?
I probably 2022. I was probably working a 12.
Yeah, right. Or other than that, probably right. I was asked the other day in the PDI, do you remember whether you filled out a 96? And they asked me for a date like 2 weeks in the past. I fill out a 96 almost every day, so of course I don't remember any particular day whether I fill out a 96. That's why it's so important to write it down right then and there. What happened? Because the aim
I carry
specificity. You have to let your. Oh, sorry, bad mouth. I didn't mean to talk over you. Why don't you pop in and then I'll pop back.
It's. I mean, like we're interviewing you, bro. This is your show. I carry a little because I'm old school. I carry a little notepad with me to write shit down because I have bad ADHD. I got more holes in my brain than Swiss cheese. So I don't remember what I had for lunch yesterday. So, but writing down things like, oh, in this stand-up talk, they insinuated that every carrier was a liar and a thief because of whatever, right? And I also write down in that little notepad, like, this carrier was present. This carrier was present. This carrier was present. Because like I will write down who might be a witness because some of those carriers, they're not going to file that grievance, right? But if your steward approaches them, hey, did you hear manager so-and-so say this to Morris? They might be like, yeah, that motherfucker said that. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to go out of their way for that, but they might. Yeah. So write everything down. Carry that little notepad with you. Leo is so on point with that.
Yeah. And Morris, the fun thing about that is that's the exact reason I don't carry a notepad because I also have ADHD and that comes with a complete lack of object permanence. So I used to carry notepads and write stuff down like a little moleskin. And I would turn my head and then I would lose it. So that's why I started using my phone instead.
Yeah, I got to use notes on the phone too. I did a notepad and it's like, where's my notepad? And I go to my wife all the time, where's this? Where's that? Hell, I can't even remember where I put my glasses half the time. So phone all day.
They're on your dopey face. Whoop, whoop.
Cole, what you got?
Yeah, so can I jump in real quick and probably just summarize several of these points that are coming up next? Because I think they're great points, but I think I can summarize it with a story.
Great, let's do it.
And that story comes from...
I love it when Cole hops in. I love it when Cole hops in.
That story comes from 2023. I was sent in as an outside steward to a nearby office by the regional office nearby to me, and they're actually now part of my branch, but at the time they were not. And I filed 4 grievances at the time. I filed an Article 23, I filed a 1731, and I filed 5. Let's see.
Cole?
Yes.
For the CCAs and PTFs that don't know what those articles are, can you explain what those mean?
I can, yeah. One sec. Let me get my head together here.
Call.
Good
I don't
call,
know what those
Leo.
mean either.
Yeah, because Cole and JT, you're a steward too, so we can throw these numbers around.
I am not a steward. I am not.
Just kidding. Just kidding. So as the resident stewards, we can throw these numbers around and understand their meaning. But we sometimes, like anything, get lost in the sauce. So we just want to make sure that everybody who's listening understands what we're talking about.
Fantastic call, actually. So the 17 and 31, that was related to me not receiving information related to interviews with rural carriers.
And Article 17 and 31, you're talking about our national agreement and the JCAM.
Yeah. Okay. And the JCAM, yeah. The second one I filed in there was Article 23, which was when the postmaster kicked me out of the office.
Wow.
Yeah. The third grievance I filed was just your kind of run-of-the-mill Article 8. They didn't have an ODL sign-up sheet.
And what's Article 8 for?
Just hours of work, overtime, ODLs, everything like that. They just didn't have an ODL sign-up sheet, so I filed that one. The fifth one, what was it? They changed someone's sick leave to LWOP improperly, leave without pay improperly. But the fourth one is the one I want to focus on. That was my joint statement. In fact, it's the only joint statement of violence behavior I've ever filed. And I am very proud of this one. I really am. I have this problem where I think I'm the worst steward to ever exist, and I'm terrible, and I never do good enough. But this one I'm honestly proud of. So back to what I was saying, after some minor technical difficulties that were cut out. This one is like I said, one I'm very proud of. I ended up making it. It was 19 pages, just my contentions, which is honestly kind of short for one of these cases. Leo, you can probably attest to that. I'm sure you get some pretty thick boys whenever you file your joint statements.
We try to keep them thick. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a good thing, right?
Personally, thick is always better. Sorry. No, cut
that. So, in that file, because you're just talking about statements, right? And it just triggered in my brain, oh, yeah, this is possibly the best grievant I've ever worked with. And, of course, I won't name anybody. I won't name the station. All of that, obviously. But my first contention was my triggering event, right? Where it was a specific action that happened that started, okay, look, 14 days from now, I'm filing an informal Step A. And the statement I got was very, very thorough, right? Just this, talking about text that she got, talking about how she filled out a 3996, how she called the office, how then the postmaster berated her, failed to give her instructions, everything, right? And I then went on in my second contention to talk about how the postmaster continued to harass her at home while she's trying to spend time with her children.
Jesus Christ! Yeah, no. That's violating the fact. That's them texting you times fucking 10. That should be a criminal case at that point.
It was horrible. And, you know, of course, with her coming to the meetings and stuff, I've gotten to meet her husband. I've gotten to meet her children. All around, just the perfect family, right? Just these people are the best people, and I love them. Her kids are so sweet, and it just to know that she was having to deal with this, right, while trying to be a mother. So on and on and on. I'm just kind of scrolling through here, trying to pull out bits. My 17th contention was where I started building my history. And I'll jump back in here later, and Leo and I are going to have a little banter, which is in the in the outline, which is how I got roped into this. But my 17th contention consists of 27 statements.
Wow. I wish.
In a route of 2 city routes and 5 rural routes. I have 22 statements from the one carrier over a 2-year period.
That's insane. Like, every steward I ever talked to, their biggest problem is getting statements. The fact that you got 27.
Oh, yeah, it is.
That situation is fucking brilliant.
I got, I think, 3 or 4. I don't know the exact numbers. I whatever. How many ever I got several rural carriers to even jump in and give me statements. I got a statement from a CCA, or he's a regular now, but it was a CCA at the time in my office, who was sent up there to work one time. I got a statement from another outside steward. Like I said, I'm very proud of this one. And in doing so, these statements were thorough. They were not just, and this is me now summarizing like 4 or 5 points in our outline, not because it's 10 o'clock and I'm ready to go to bed, but because I think it's important. Basically, what it boiled down to was the statements. That's how you win these cases, y'all. And Leo's shaking his head at me. Yes, he's nodding his head. The statements are how you... So please, if you're dealing with this, write these statements and be thorough with them. I won this case at Step B.
All right.
And it stopped for a time. It picked back up, but not nearly as bad. That postmaster then got moved to another office, and they have an OIC in there. She's on like a detail or something in a hour or so down the road. And it's my understanding that now the union out there has stacked up 10 or 12 joint statements against her. This postmaster. Maybe more by this point. The OIC there now, thankfully, is a gem. I know Leo just told you that management are not your friends, but as Leo and Morris and JT might also know, if you do this long enough, if you're a steward long enough, you do eventually make friends with some people in management, the good ones, so to speak. The OIC up there is now. I do consider him a friend. He treats the carriers right. He treats me right. And I haven't filed a grievance up there in a couple of years. Dang. Because of that. There is light at the end of the tunnel is all I want to say on that. Right. And this is, again, it's a small office, right? It's where people go to retire. It's not a big office like Leo's in, where you get somebody coming in trying to make a name for themselves.
I don't even know if my office is that big, to be honest with you, but we are the redheaded stepchild of my regional district or whatever. And that's why we get so many rotating managers, unfortunately.
See, but I agree with that, though, because I started in a big office, and you get a lot of new supervisors that want to cut their teeth, and I'm in a smaller office. It's still a decent size, but it's not what I was accustomed to. And I feel like if you're in a smaller office and you disrupt the way things are, the smaller office people get pissed quicker than in a bigger office where you can kind of go to another zone or alley or whatever you call it.
Did they contain concrete, specific facts that explains, exactly what happened rather than general vagaries?
They sure did. Give me a second and let me get back to them. Let me scroll back up. So my original statement, I will read part of my triggering event statement, and I'll, of course, redact the parts that need to be redacted. Let me get back to it. Oh, God. I've lost my place on my page.
Hey, so we're I can't remember. I don't know if we're on on the pod record right now, because this is really important. This is really important. I want to make sure that this is useful for our CCAs to be like, this is the type of statement you want. Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm about to do.
Okay, all right, cool. This is an aside for our whoever's editing this. Mal? No,
it's me. It's me. So yeah, Leo, they really are, and so I will read. I'll redact what needs to be redacted, of course, but I will read the triggering event statement, and this is in fact, I'll just read the contention, beginning from where the statement begins. Field ID 3996 requesting 20 minutes. Blank is the only supervisor there, so I take it to them, and he chuckles and says, no, there is no mail volume for overtime. I just say, okay, I need you to approve or deny so I can get out here and start delivering. He says, okay, well, it's denied. I say, okay, thanks. May I have a copy? He says it will be on your case at Intor. He takes my $39.96 and I push my second hamper outside to load up the remaining large parcels, push the hamper back in, and leave the office around 8:40 a.m. Shortly after getting to the route at 9:03 a.m., I had to pull over to read a group text from Postmaster to me and supervisor that read, looking at your mail volume, this date, today, 106 letters, 118 flats, DPS 1639, only 31 parcels. You hit the street at 8:30, 10 minutes early compared to your performance on different date when you did not come in until time. Cased 126 letters, 403 flats, and 49 parcels, DPS 1784. Finished route in less than, so no, based on your mail volume today, you do not earn any overtime, so the 15 minutes requested is denied. Any overtime over 8, just like yesterday, will be unauthorized. Supervisor text in the chat, it was 20 minutes. Postmaster text, quote, it is still disapproved. I nervously call the post office line and supervisor picks up. I say, hey, I'm still running behind and I have not been able to make any time up. I'm also not feeling the greatest, but I am doing my best. He says, okay, and hangs up. I continue on delivering the remainder of street. Before I could even finish, I hear my phone's text alert go off twice, back to back. I got the familiar feeling of dread and nervousness because I knew it was Postmaster texting me. I had to wait again until I had a decent, safe place to read her message, and the first one said, quote, your overtime is still disapproved, there is no basis for it. And the second one read, it sprinkled today, it did not rain, so we are not sure what you're referring to, and so now you were saying you're too sick to perform your duties as a carrier today. After her reading her text, I felt nauseous. I thought to myself, I can't believe this person is causing me to literally feel ill. I have anxiety in my chest, and that leads to a tightening that hurts. I closed my eyes for a few moments to regroup.
Get fucked on all of that. I'm sorry. Get fucked on all of that. That is such a regular occurrence. Sorry. Okay, I'll shut up.
No, you're good. No, you're fine. You're totally fine.
This is how we're supposed to write statements. Factual and also how we feel, not either or.
Yes, especially in a hostile work environment joint statement, because your feelings matter in these circumstances. But Cole, why don't you get back to what you were reading? Because
sorry, I'm sorry. I was just getting so irate listening to that. that poor fucking woman, and fuck that piece of shit postmaster.
So we're almost at the end here. So I close my eyes for a few moments to regroup, and I text the group back, quote, what are my instructions? Am I to carry my route to completion, which will be 4:20, or am I to return at 4 with undelivered mail? It is slowing me down to pull over to read your text. Postmaster texts back immediately, you have already been given clear and concise instructions. And then this part is narrative as a contention. The union believes the most egregious part of the statement at hand occurred later in the day. Letter carrier provided in her statement the account of that evening. Quote, on my 20-minute drive home, my phone text alert goes off again. I think surely it can't be Postmaster texting me. I arrive at my children's daycare and I'm able to look at the text. Surprise, it's Postmaster. The text just says, to the station, which I assumed was a mistake or she meant to add it to the next before it. While cooking dinner with my husband, my phone text alert goes off. It is just after 6 p.m. and I clocked out over an hour ago. I can't believe it's another text from Postmaster. She says, why were your new labels not put up as you were instructed to put your new labels in weeks ago? I do not reply to her message, but I feel the nervousness pit in my stomach just thinking about her continuing to contact me while off the clock.
Jesus fucking Christ. We aren't paid enough to deal with abuse while we're
By the way,
on the
guys,
clock.
Yeah, and also just for the record too, management's not allowed to make you work off the clock or to cause you to work off the clock. So let your steward know about this stuff, because that could potentially be a separate grievance as well if they're contacting you off the clock about work-related issues. This is why I recommend, at the very beginning, unless you're in probation, block every single one of the motherfuckers. And
I have to jump in. This is what I tell all the CCAs who come into my station and that I run into: block their number. If you want to play on hard mode and you want to play pro mode, don't block their number. Just never respond. That way you have a fucking line of text messages that they'll send you that they're not supposed to, that you can fucking grieve.
Or put it on do not disturb mode. And there's actually
There you go.
phone, a feature where you can put different people into what certain do not disturb modes. You can be like work and just block certain people and allow every other call to go through.
I started using. I'm an elder millennial. I started using do not disturb mode in the last like fucking months, and I'll tell you what, I sleep really well now.
Can I be honest, Badmouth, dude? Since you started doing that, and it says it underneath the thing, I've started to do that too. And oh my god, it's a game changer. It doesn't feel like your phone's.
Oh, dude, yeah.
It's on for me all day long. I have do not disturb on, and the only reason I don't have my station management team blocked is I don't think I should ethically, as steward, block managers on my personal phone. Otherwise, they'd be blocked too.
Yeah, I keep mine unblocked just because management. They're such petty, fucking little, small, fucking goblins that I know that they are going to hang themselves by the shit that they will text me, and I can use that.
Yeah, and so Cole, that grievance put together a fantastic statement, but not everybody has the wherewithal to do that, and sometimes folks need a little bit of guidance. So what I think is going to be attached to show notes or somewhere else where the magic happens is something called an abusive supervisor incident worksheet that was recommended to me on another one of the podcasts that I listened to. I cannot remember which one it was. It was one of the postal podcasts that are up. There's plenty of them. But that helps guide you as a potential grievant to write a statement. It includes sections for things like your name, the supervisor's name, date of incident, the date the union was notified, the victims of an incident, the witnesses, description of an abusive incident, whether it was provoked, what sort of conduct happened. Was it yelling, sarcastic, physical threats, physical contact? There's a place for you to sign in date. There's a whole place for you to write a statement. I mean, not a ton, but you can always attach another sheet. So this is a great place to start. And I let everyone who's younger at my station know who's having these problems that I keep a stack of these now at my desk, at the steward's desk at the station. So if someone's having an issue, whether it's one of my carriers or it's a clerk, I just hand them a form and say, hey, fill this out, get it back to me. If it's a clerk, I say, hey, fill it out, get it back to me. I'll give it to your steward. And that will at least get the show rolling. And if I need more details, I'll get them from you. No problem. Because here's the thing, guys. You have to, like we talked earlier, if you're a newbie, if you're a new CCA, if you're new PTF, and you're just a finger, you're easy to break. If you're a fist and you work together, you're stronger. So get together a group chat with your steward. Talk to your steward. Especially with the new NERMP or NERMP or whatever we call it, right? The steward is supposed to introduce themselves, and you are, as the new CCA, supposed to be introduced to the steward and, in fact, the entire station. So try to foster that relationship if your steward's up for it. I am very active with my new CCAs. I get up in their shit. I am giving them tips and tricks left and right. I am showing them shit on the scanners they don't know about. It pisses management off. They yell at me to get back to my case. I want to make sure that the CCAs that are in my station are set up for success instead of just being thrown to the wolves like in the quote-unquote good old days, which some of the old heads bitch about how we're mollycoddling the new people, which is nonsense. And Badmouth, I've heard you go off on that before, and I totally agree with you. We got to make things better for the people who are hired now. If shit was bad back then, it shouldn't still be bad now. We need to make it better. So get that group chat going with your steward and the other CCAs and PTF so you can stay on top of stuff. With respect to statements, too, hold on for 1 sec, Badmouth, while I'm on a roll, and then I'm going to take what
No, you let it go, baby. Normally people are telling me to chill my shit. Like, go. Fuck this shit up.
So here's the next thing. You need witnesses when this happens, right? If you know that you have a shitty manager with a piss poor attitude, anytime you go to speak with them, make sure you got a steward. Your steward's not there, bring a buddy system all day, every day. Right? And why is that? because if something goes sideways, you will need a statement from the witness in addition to the statement that you write. And here's the rule about witnesses and statements. 1 is none and 2 is 1, right? The more, the better. When my manager says wild shit on the floor in AM stand-ups, do you know what I do? I raise my hand and I ask that manager, hey, what's that rule? Can you explain yourself? And the manager has already learned now in the last couple weeks that they will not answer a single question that I pose to them. They'll say, oh, we'll deal with that off the side. I do not want to let my manager say things that are wrong on the floor to my carriers and get away with it without being challenged. So they've changed their tack and they just won't answer my questions anymore on the floor in front of the carriers or anyone's questions for the most part. So remember that, guys. Coordinate, talk to your steward, stick together with your other CCAs, bring a buddy if you are talking to a manager who is a known bad seed. And witness statements, 1 is none, 2 is 1. All right, so JT, I think you got some advice for regulars and senior CCAs or PTFs. So why don't you let us know what you got on that?
I think this is my section, actually.
Oh shit!
I think it's bad mouth section, but I can always tell you, man, if you what advice that we would like to give to them as a team here, and we've all kind of come up with these ideas is, you got to encourage each other. You got to encourage each other to stand up for one another. I think that's half the battle, is realizing that you're not alone in this, so we can encourage each other, and also to let our stewards know, because statements are very hard to come by, especially ones as detailed as Cole just went over, which was so intense. I just was speechless. That is crazy. And don't be afraid to be a witness. If you see it, don't turn a blind eye.
That's my fucking section.
Yeah, that's right. That's your section. So could you file on my behalf, Badmouth?
I was on mute. God damn it.
That is your section. So will you finish this on my behalf and file it?
No. I had a whole thing prepared for it, and I was reading, and I was like, oh, that's my fucking section. I didn't know. I thought I was on mute still. Sorry.
That's my problem. I forgot the colors we were assigned in the outline, so forgive me, everyone.
Dude, I thought I was blue.
You are blue.
So it is my section, you bitch.
That's my fault.
This is staying in, by the way.
That's perfectly fine. I am 100% that bitch.
JT was on a roll, so I kind of want to leave it. But
no, I'm going to tell you, just by filing it on my behalf, can you finish on my behalf?
Yeah. Okay, all right. So filing on my behalf. Yeah. So JT, who was speaking on my behalf, has asked me to cover the filing on my behalf. Here's the thing. One of the things we mentioned this earlier, and like Cole will tell you, fucking JT will tell you, Leo will tell you, having people write a statement, getting them to write a statement, or even file a fucking grievance. Everyone will bitch to their union rep. Not everyone will actually fucking file. As a CCA,
yes,
as
there's a lot of bitching.
Yeah. Don't just bitch about it. Be about it.
Thank you.
Be the change. Be the change, guys. Be the change. Don't be afraid.
Yeah. Fucking, they piss you the fuck off. Kick them in the teeth with a grievance. What I learned to do, because I take so much pride in my job. If someone's gonna have a criticism of my job, but they never left that fucking chair behind that goddamn desk and that fucking computer, they spend all day sniffing their own farts, lying on telecoms, and then they're going to talk shit on the hard work that you do.
Badmouth, are you sure you don't work at my office?
No, Glencrest, Fort Worth, baby. It's rough. But so you take pride in your job. Everything that you do, you work real hard at. And they get in the way of you working hard at that. You have learned to stand up to their horse shit, right?
Yeah.
You're a second year CCA. You're a lower step fucking regular. We got a lot of people who listen to this who are regulars.
Or heck, you're a CCA that's even taking the step and the time to listen to the podcast to educate yourself. That puts you in a different tier, guys.
I started listening to From A to Arbitration by Corey Walton my 3rd month in. I wasn't even out of probation because they pissed me off and I didn't like the way they talked to me. I didn't like the way they talked to other people. You need to you need to sometimes stand up for other people around you. And if you're listening to this and you're this far into this fucking episode, you are mad about this shit. And here's the thing, anger gets shit fucking done. So this is what my advice to you, to look out for the other people around you, right? So what you're going to do is you're always going to be a witness. You see someone getting picked on, you're going to encourage them to file a fucking grievance. And you've been around long enough and you listen to the shit Leo's saying, you listen to shit Cole's saying, you listen to shit JT's been saying, and you've listened to shit Corey or fucking Gigax or fucking whatever. You know how to fucking file this shit and talk to your steward. You're going to do that on their behalf because they might be too fucking scared to do that shit.
Right.
They might be too fucking they don't have that in them yet, or they're still just trying to find their fucking standing. I remember when I first got here.
Or badmouth, they don't even know what a grievance is.
Yeah, they don't. This might be the first job where they've had a fucking union, man.
Right.
They might be used to throwing a punch because they come from Waffle House, but they don't know how to file a grievance, right? So you, as someone who's been in this and knows how to stick up for people, for me, if my dickhead manager's being a piece of shit to the CCA next to me, for one, I'm going to fucking cause a problem there. But if that CCA is too scared to file that fucking grievance, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to file a grievance because it creates a toxic work environment for me to hear management treat someone else in my fucking office, one of my fucking CCAs, like dog shit. That creates a toxic work environment for me. I wake up every day and I choose violence, and I love fucking filing grievances, getting with my steward and fucking causing problems, right? Wake up and be a problem for good and be a problem on behalf of your neighbor.
And it sounds for me, badmouth, like what you are more or less is like when kids on the playground pick on the skinny kid, and then you're the big brother of the skinny kid who sets it straight. Exactly.
And we have so many. If you're a CCA and you manage to fucking survive past your first fucking year here, you are a badass. You are a fucking fighter. And just start fighting on behalf of other fucking folk. Here's one thing that I talked about that manager earlier in the episode. They said that that my termination was their goal. So what I told every CCA who came in after me, who was terrified of losing their job because they were in their 90s, what I told them, I was like, hey, if they start hassling you, give me a signal and I'll come over. And I would have someone signal and I would suddenly come over and I'd be like, hey, Valerie, I'm going to need another 20 minutes on 28. And all of a sudden, Valerie fucking forgot about that CCA that she was bullying and hated me so much. All of a sudden, that was all fucking forgotten. That CCA got through their 90, right?
That's a beautiful rope-a-dope right there.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, be the sin eater. If you can take this shit and you can fight these bastards fucking fight these bastards, and half the time you don't even gotta fucking fight them. You just can take punches for these other cats. Because those punches are fucking soft. They ain't nothing to you. They waves on a beach.
Insert legal disclaimer here. Bad mouth does not mean actual punches, but figurative, metaphorical.
Metaphorical. I was getting poetic. Yeah. Their attacks on the CCA for you just might be gentle waves on the beach. So be that beach, be that bitch, be that beach for those CCAs. This is how we take care of each other. This is how we look out for each other. This is the best way. Be a witness. Be a witness. Anytime they're being a fucking bastard, if that CCA or that PTF or even that regular carrier, that veteran carrier, can't file a fucking grievance because they're scared of shit, you're not scared of shit. You're a tough ass motherfucker. So what you're going to do is you're going to file a grievance and say, hey, they're picking on this carrier over here on this route, and that made me upset, and that bothered me all day. And you're going to do exactly what Leo said. You're going to talk about the factual shit. This is what they said. This is whatever. And you're also going to talk about the things that made you, how it made you feel. It made me upset. I was fucking angry all day. My heart rate was up. I'm already out walking in this shit. And now I'm fucking pissed about this shit. Talk about the literal things that are happening and how it makes you feel.
I dread going into work. I cry every day at the end of work.
Yeah.
My manager makes me cry. Those are all things that are
angry. I get so angry that I got to double back to a mailbox because I was thinking about this. I was thinking about how shitty it was to see this manager pick on this person next to me. I was so angry about that I ended up having to double back across lawns in order to make a double check to make sure that I got 4232's mail in that box instead of 4236's mail in that box.
Yeah,
this shit pisses me off so bad. I'm glad we're doing this episode finally.
and understandably, it's easy to get hot about these issues. And it's easy, whether you are a brand new CCA or a steward themselves on the workroom floor, to lose sight of it and to snap and lose your cool. Just don't do it. If you're going to tell someone to go sit on a lemon, you got to do it professionally. Because remember, the JSOV also applies to us. So we can't be stooping to the level of management. And anybody from my station who is listening to this right now is probably laughing so hard at me because I, like I said earlier, am a notorious hothead. But do as I say and as I try to do, not as I actually do. I am trying to be better at being a hothead because it doesn't get you anywhere when you're dealing with this sort of stuff. Speaking of being a hothead, I'm going to segue into some advice for stewards who are worried about filing JSOVs. Because I had a rough day yesterday. I had a bunch of dogs come after me. I had the dog's owner threaten to knock me out. Management didn't back me up on the issue. And coincidentally, like I said earlier in the episode, our union safety team was out that day in a hilarious, ironic twist. Thankfully, my union backed me 100%. But like I said, it was a rough day. It was a long day. I worked 11 and a half and I came home and was working on this up until like 1 in the morning. So here's what I said and typed while I was hot. If you are scared to file a JSOV and you're a steward and you're afraid of retaliation because it might put a target on your back, do all of us a favor and resign. We don't need cowards as stewards. Your job is to be your carrier's bodyguard. You are supposed to take the bullet, figuratively speaking, for your folks. You can't take the heat. Get the fuck out of the kitchen.
So suck on that!
Let someone else in who's going to do the job the right way. Whether your station does appointments or elections, I don't know. But if you're afraid to file grievances because you're afraid of management retaliation, my position is you are not of the proper disposition to be a union steward, because you are failing your members. You're setting yourself up for labor charges under Article 10 for not doing your job the right way. This job isn't easy, but don't make the life of your carriers at your station suffer because you're afraid to do it. I hope that wasn't too mean. I didn't mean it mean, guys. I really meant to just say, hey, you know what? We're not all made out to do this. And if you're not, then okay. But let someone else step in who can do it. And whether everyone has a different style in dealing with management, based on my backgrounds, like I said in the last episode I was on, I have a background in the legal field. I did criminal defense work for quite some time. Over a decade, I had my own practice. So I am used to adversarial back and forth. The bottom line is this. If you are not going to file the grievances that you need to file to protect your carriers, please do everyone a favor and step down and let somebody else who will do the job.
Fuck yeah.
So if you feel like your steward is being a coward, you can always reach out to your branch president. If that doesn't work, you could always call your MBA. If that doesn't work, you could always reach out to Corey. Corey has a lot of information. And don't be afraid to reach out on the From Aid to Arbitration Discord. There is a bunch of smart individuals that would be happy to help you. There are a lot of resources, and resources are much easier accessible than when I started. There's a lot more people that are willing to reach out to you and help you with any of your problems that you might have, and are willing to tell you, yeah, you might have something there, and give you the steps along the way, like our buddy Leo has on this episode. So
yeah,
real
I'll
quick,
tell you, JT, all the time, I will have an issue. I'll look it up. I'll research it myself. I'll read the JCAM, and then I'll go to the FATA Discord and drop into the grievance chat and ask the hive mind there, hey guys, y'all been doing this as long as I've been alive. What's the collective wisdom in this situation? And it's really helpful. Even if you're not a steward, guys, I recommend, please join it. You'll get to know, that's how I know everybody on this podcast right now, is because of the Discord. And it really helps to build a sense of community as well. It makes you feel like you're part of something bigger.
For certain, great minds keep moving things forward. As Murph said today, you can't be neutral on a moving locomotive.
Oh, that's good.
That's right. All right, so we got some listener comments and questions. So from Reddit, we got John Smith 6073, and he says, the new NIRMP policy and mentors has resulted in a large bridge of communication between our local branch and the workroom floor. The mentors that have been established are good at communicating with the stewards and has allowed me, the steward, to address management in a way more proactive manner than before this program started. That's good. That's something we
incredibly good to hear. That's incredibly good to hear.
It has allowed us to run PTFs through secondary training to improve their efficiency, explain to management different people have different learning methods and speeds. That's very true. And written statements keep mostly to the facts, but also include how the event made you feel. The impact of the manager's action is important to document. Well written, void of excess punctuation and or adverbs is mint. I like the word mint. That's a good touch. Write the statement from the perspective of a camera hovering just over the shoulder of the employee writing the statement, or nowadays from the perspective of a GoPro worn on the chest, complete with what was seen, heard, and or felt. To who, what, where, and when. Make note of anyone else that likely heard or observed the conduct. And then this is one of your rule 2 he touches on the obey first, grieve later mantra is the safest road unless acutely aware of the exceptions to the rule. If things get tense with a supervisor, calmly request to see the steward. If you have a written process to make the request, do that. A paper trail can be valuable. Carriers who side with management, something to be aware of. Not worth a lot of time talking about, but it is a component to the mix that exists.
So I just want to add a comment here. What was it? John Smith says a paper trail can be valuable. I would change that to a paper trail is invaluable. There's nothing better than a well-documented paper trail, as we've discussed earlier. So document. We cannot emphasize that enough.
I can agree with that. All right, Facebook, Stephanie writes, abusive supervisor form is a good start, which
that's the one we got. Yeah,
that's what you pushed along. Yep, and that should be in the show notes, right, Cole? All right, give me the thumbs up for those who listening.
Sorry, I forgot I was unmuted. I could have just said yes.
He always gets roped in,
indicating for the record.
I love Cole is in his producer seat all the time, and then it's just like, oh yeah, I'm actually on this episode.
So she goes on to say it highlights a few things people forget to add in statements. Sending yourself an email journal entry style to document incidents so they are date and time stamped. Ooh, I like that. Can you put those in separate email folder to keep for documentation for future? Once you have a good record of things, you can file an EEO. If you have a legitimate qualifier.
And guys, for those of you who don't know, the EEO is making an equal employment opportunity complaint, and with the EEOC, legitimate qualifiers are generally sex, race, religion, if I remember correctly, and age if you're older than 40.
Right, way to brush over that. Look at this guy. I love this guy. He's a pro's pro, my man Leo. All right. Start with dignity and respect. Multiple incidents of that show how the hostile work environment was created and that it's not changing even with settlements. There is also power in silence. Not responding shows restraint and usually drives management crazy, so they have reactions, which is very true.
Mm-hmm.
It also shows that they can get crazy. Yes. It's hard to stay stoic, but whenever you can do that, it controls the situation and will have a more favorable outcome. Other carriers will side with you and start banding together if they haven't already.
And JT, that's another thing I cannot emphasize enough. Do your best not to react. Don't be like me. Be like what Stephanie says. That's the way to do it.
This is the way.
Yeah. Pretty much. I've noticed that was one of the big things. My buddy was actually making fun of me today, where I used to go after one of the managers back home, and I would slap the back of my palm to my hand, be like, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So he goes, I pull out some JT mannerisms once in a while, and I'm like, I don't do that anymore.
I can only imagine what my fellow carriers would do in that circumstance. So,
Allie says management is brutal with their harassment nowadays. We are human. We are not robots. Very true. In a lot of stations, that especially a lot of the things that I hear from a lot of people in different places, it is brutal. Jonathan, I study like hell to make abusive supervisors my bitch. But I do have a question. We've been advanced 40 hours leave, but we aren't guaranteed 8. They send me home instead of letting me find work. So am I just losing the projected 40? Should CCAs abstain from the advanced leave? Do you think it's a poison pill designed to make you owe them hours, so if you threaten to leave, they will threaten to send you a bill? Curious on y'all's take. See, that's an interesting one, because I know in our office, some of our guys don't get the full 40. Like, some of the hours have been tight for some of the CCAs and PTFs. What's you guys' take on that?
My answer is that it's all going to depend upon what your office is like, right? So, and it depends on the size of your office too, because of guarantees based on however many, work years in your unit, or whatever phrase they use, right? So let me just cut to the chase and say, do you think it's a poison pill designed to owe them hours? No, I don't think that's the case. I think that was actually a decent thing that CCAs got, of very few decent things in the entire contract. I don't think it's to try to make you feel trapped. They already bully us enough whenever we try to take any sort of leave. So I don't even think that was a consideration.
Can I chime in on this real quick? The reason why CCAs are advanced those 40 hours is those 40 hours are just to cover your break in service between your first and second year. And why management might be trying to use that is to basically try to bully you into just consistent performance, consistent attendance and shit. It's basically like you're gonna be fucked when it comes to your break in service, because you won't have any hours to cover that break in service. It's basically it's to hold that over your head so you don't expect to get out of work in any time before your break of service. Does that make sense?
I think Hanlon's razor solves that, man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
I just think, I don't know. I'm one of those people that I just hoard my time, and it's served me well. So I always try to have excess of time, because you never know what kind of event is going to come up. I don't know. I could see that point of view that you're suggesting, John, but all I will tell you, and this is what one of the senior guys told me a long time ago, hoard as much time as you can, especially once you become regular. Hoard your sick leave. One of the big things about hoarding that is you'll never have to pay like an Affleck or something like that. It will actually save you money in the long run. I know so many people that have gotten their knees, hips, and all that done with the FMLA protection, and and just their sick leave. So if you feel like that's something that are trying to do, the best thing you can do is hoard it. Especially if you feel like that's an angle that in your station they might go after. Do you guys feel me on that?
Yeah, I agree. I'm not the best about saving my annual leave, and by not the best, I mean I had 30 clicks of annual leave going into this year. But you definitely do want to, I will say, take care of yourself. I've had some both mental and physical health issues over the past couple of years that's caused me to use a little bit more sick leave than I had planned on using in that time. But let me answer Jonathan really quickly. Should you abstain from using the advanced annual leave? I'm going to mirror what Leo said. It depends a lot on your office, right? If you're getting those 40 hours consistently, you're probably okay. If you're not, maybe you should be careful about it. Definitely be careful. To the second part, I don't think it was a poison pill. I think it was actually a really good thing that we got in the contract, just like Leo said. I think it was a really good effort that maybe wasn't completely thought through. And maybe it was, I don't know, I wasn't in the room. I don't know, man. I think it was something that was really well intentioned, is what I think. So
I feel like I agree with you. There's a lot of things that they have good intentions on that's just not a complete thought. Just pretty much my 2 cents. I don't know if anyone else agrees on that.
I do. I agree. So anyway, what's our last Facebook comment?
From Alicia. In so many cases, it's not just the managers. Shitty stewards and management's pocket can make life tough for CCAs and PTFs too.
Step aside, y'all.
You were very passionate about that before, Leo. Well, I think with that being said, I think this is a good way to step on that soapbox there, Mr. Badmouth.
You have the inherent human right to a quality work environment where you show up, you do your work, you fuck off to your family, to your friends, Netflix, your PlayStation, whatever. It doesn't matter. We have that right. In all the things we talked about how to stand up for yourself and how to stand up for other people. I want to tell you how we got rid of a bastard manager in Glencrest when I first started. When I first started, 2 months into first starting, I was being bullied so horribly bad by this manager that someone recommended for me at arbitration with Corey Walton. I started listening to that fucking my second month in, right? It got really bad. We kept working on it. I kept showing up and it pissed them off. You're going to keep showing up and it's going to keep pissing you off sometimes when you got a bastard manager. But let me tell you, there's a whole lot of joy in fighting that. Everyone on this call loves fighting that shit. All of the, looking out for other people. We talked about how to write a statement. Figured that out, right? We talked about, if management's picking on somebody, but they really don't like you because you know your shit, step in and take the heat for them to get the heat off of them. Finally, after a little while, it was a nightmare. This manager got in a fist fight with one of the clerks. We thought she was going to be gone. And then she shows back up 2 months later. We started joking around my office that smiling was a street function, right? And here's the thing. What ended up bringing down this bully bastard of a fucking manager was the fact that I got with my steward on a regular basis and I filed a JSOV respecting the workplace grievance. I got to learn how to write a statement. And my steward, like Rodney Anderson, is my steward. I love that man. He told me the first time, he's like, well, it's kind of the post office. And like we talked a little bit, and I was like, well, I need a paper trail. So I filed that first grievance. And then the next week, I filed the next grievance. And nothing ever came of that, but we started that paper trail on filing grievances on this dickhead manager, right? So Rodney just basically got ready to just file a grievance every time. I was like, I know nothing's going to come of it, but I want to file this anyway. And he was like, okay, cool. Like, hey, I'm down to clown. And he wrote that grievance, right? So by the time that it got so fucking egregious that carriers who never filed grievances were filing grievances, there was a track record, right? There's that paper trail that we were talking about. A year later, there was a paper trail of JSOV grievances that Rodney had filed on my behalf. And then by the time things came to a head, all the CCAs that I was looking out for in the ways that we had talked about earlier, they were filing grievances and they were writing statements. And we got rid of this piece of shit manager through the hard work of Rodney, my steward, my branch president, Michael Barrett, and all of the statements from the CCAs, right? The CCAs were able to get together and pick a fight with management together, pick a fight with management and get an abusive manager fucking, she got demoted, sent to another station, and finally removed. We got rid of that because we take care of each other. The CCA is the most underpaid, abused person at the post office. But we got power when we stick together on this shit. Everything that Leo was saying, everything that Townie was saying, everything like everything that Cole was saying, like these are all tools in our toolbox, and we can work together on this shit, and we can make things a better, happier place. And like we are entitled to that, right? So that's the soapbox. It's basically just to tie in everything we've already talked about. Like, yeah, look out for each other. If you got somebody who's new at your station and they're being treated like shit, and you see that, file a grievance on their behalf. Fuck, look out for them. Take care of each other. That's what I love about CCAs. That's what. Yeah. All right. I'm just gonna keep rambling. So let's move on in the outline. We got to do plugs, right? We're doing plugs.
Yeah, I guess that's where we're going.
Yeah. Okay, so if you want more in-depth information on the joint statement on violence and behavior in the workplace, you can check out the following people who are way more technical and smarter than I am. But Leo has specifically reviewed each of these as well. There's the Fermaid arbitration, episode 36, 37, 38, and 39. I remember those episodes. It was overwhelming for me as a CCA, but that helped me get the baseline for how to take care of my fellow CCAs, right? And then Classes of Mail, my buddy Alan Gigax. I love that dude. He has his March 17th, 2025 episode, The Carrier Academy Continued, Safety, and the JSOV. And then you have Parcels of Knowledge, which is Joshua Shrum, who I talked to him a bunch this morning. He has his episode 3 is the JSOV and Mutual Respects and Basics. And then you have Sip of My Coffee, Richie Ray in the Hot House on episode 58, the Joint Statement and Mutual Respect. Do you have anything else to plug?
Only thing I got is this. Since I made all of you be super vulnerable because I was the person that asked all of your Desert Island albums. The end of the year episode.
Albums, and let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. So, number 1, it is Prometheus by the band Emperor. Number 2, Rust in Peace by Megadeth.
Oh, God damn it. Okay, all right.
Number 3, Onset of Putrefaction by Necrophagist. And if I had my guitar and those 3 albums, maybe there'd be enough time for me to be able to learn all of them by heart and play them perfectly.
Well done. Well done.
Should we ask him the poetic justice question?
Uh-oh.
It's a poetic justice question.
The one about Tupac.
Oh, yeah. Aaron Jones asked who you would cast as Tupac's character in Poetic Justice. But I'm not sure if you've seen that movie. I was the only one on that podcast who saw that movie in the first place.
So I have a confession, guys. I am a genre enjoyer. So, like, I'm talking obscure Z horror. Not B as in Bravo, but Z as in zebra. So I am not the right person to ask. I'm so sorry.
Okay. All right. Tony, your question is invalid.
That's all right. He wanted to ask questions. He wanted to do the Ask Me Anything, so I had to push that one because none of us could answer it besides you, Badmouth.
I owned it.
Yeah. All right. Hey, is this an episode? Did we do an episode? What do you guys think? Thumbs up?
Did we end it on an upper instead of a downer? That was what we were hoping to do?
Yeah. We all got together and we got rid of fucking Valerie in Glencrest. I think we did it on upper. Like, if we form together as Voltron or the Wu-Tang Clan, we can do anything. So
the Union is kind of like a Voltron.
Yeah. Oh, and when it's at its best, it's like the Wu-Tang. It's for the children, and also like let's let's bring this home. Hey, thank you guys so much for listening. Leo, thank you so much for joining us.
It's been my honor, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Cole, as always, the wizard of the ones and twos. Thank you for being roped into being on an episode. And Townie, I think it's your first official co-host episode, so thank you as well. You dirty little hobbit. I can't wait to fucking scoop you.
Hate you, and it's gonna be a noogie. I tell you, I'm gonna end up with a noogie. I know it.
I'm short. I'm short too, so I can make hobbit jokes. I'll scoop you. All right. I love you guys. Don't get caught selling those catalytic converters in your second job.